last corner. He could and should at least move up to the front row with this one, over the line, and he goes fastest.
17.529.
I was very happy with the balance of the car, so after the first run I said just put another set of tyres and let's go, and thankfully it was just starting to spit, but I was able to get a clean lap.
It's race day at the legendary Nürburgring in the Eifel Mountains of Western Germany. You get all sorts of weather around here. It's a cool 10 degrees. It is threatening to rain for the European Grand Prix. Hello there, welcome to the ITV Trackside Studio. A brilliant vista we have here at the Nürburgring as well. David Coulthard still hurting after that plane crash, but he's stuck his McLaren on pole for the first time in 2 years. And how appropriate that alongside Tony Jardine in the studio, we're joined by Norbert Haug, Mercedes Motorsport Director. Norbert, welcome. High hopes for David this afternoon?
Yes, for sure. I mean, he did a fantastic job. He did not only do a good race in Barcelona, he really handled it very well today and yesterday's practice. And I think even if the circumstances would have been right, let's say that the whole hour could be used for the qualifying, I think he would have had a very good chance to stay on pole. The 1:17.5 he did is a remarkable achievement, I have to say.
Do you detect a new, a more determined David Coulthard, particularly after the plane crash?
I'm not so sure. I think he was just underestimated, not by me, because I knew what the guy is capable to do, and he is a great race driver. He learned a lot, and we're working together in the 5th year right now. And he improved his performance continuously, and I think he even will be better in the future. And let's say he's going to have a couple of race wins, then that would be the major breakthrough, and I think he can do it.
Okay, Tony, let's have a check back at that qualifying hour, almost a half hour really, where it all happened before the rain came here yesterday. And I mean, Michael Schumacher and Coulthard, there was a real battle going on. Hakkinen was involved as well, but it was all a question of finding that sweet spot in the hour, wasn't it?
There was a sense of urgency to it, and none more than David Coulthard, as we're watching here, and his timing was impeccable. But I just think that because he'd had the accident in the morning, he'd run off on the track there, done some damage, that made him not make any changes to the car. He was quite happy with the car. For once he left it, and off he went. And then out went Schumacher as well, who went about half a second quicker at the time. Well, we thought already there's a ding-dong battle going on. Schumacher wanting to perform at home, of course, he hadn't done that last year.
Mika Häkkinen's not been that happy with his car all weekend. He's never actually been on pole at the European Grand Prix, but we thought he'd done it first inside 1:18, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the reliability factor, as he says, and Norbert knows, has been working very, very hard on things. A great qualifying driver anyway, a brilliant driver in Häkkinen. But here he had some problems with the brakes in the morning. He did say afterwards, my car is not the same as David's. I'm not 100% happy. He's not normally like that. And down in 3rd place on the grid. Nonetheless, I expect to see fireworks from him in the race.
And then, almost within seconds of each other in that session, David Coulthard got his pole position and Michael Schumacher was just fractionally behind him.
Yeah, and I think, well, David Coulthard, of course, when he was saying here, he actually purposely kept off the curbs. He said, perhaps I lost a few tenths of a second here. He went round, and this is great because I unlike Norbert, I think he is a bit stronger. I think he is a bit ruder. He is ignoring a lot of the interviews. He is more determined than ever. Right after this, Michael Schumacher went out, and he couldn't better lap. And again, this thing that we see every now and again, despite Schumacher's brilliance, he makes the odd mistake. He made 2 mistakes down at the Dunlop curve twice, where he outbraked himself. And he's using this development engine, which they're now going to use in the race, which Jean Todt said originally they weren't going to use. So we'll see what happens with that engine.
OK, Michael Schumacher, though, quickest in warm-up this morning. Right, let's hear from some of the drivers, shall we? Starting with a rather downbeat world champion.
My car just wasn't right. It just was not performing as it should have performed. And I was not able to maximize how to get the best lap time.
Well, feeling comfortable. Second position is a very good start base for the race, and we have to get right the start, the strategy for the race, and the rest will happen.
I feel good. No one's won from pole this year, but I hope I can be the first.
So the grid, Tony.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the first pole for Coulthard since '98 in Canada. Schumacher not that happy, but he says get the strategy right from the front row of the grid. Hakkinen, as we know, not 100% happy. Barrichello 23 points behind. Will he now have to kowtow behind Michael Schumacher? Ralph, a great job there, and competition for Norbert and BMW and a few of the workers here. Truly, second here last year, heading for the podium, he hopes. Fisichella lost a wheel this morning, very embarrassing. Irvine quite close to his best. He was 6th at San Marino. Not bad for Jaguar there. Villeneuve affected by the traffic, so was Frentzen and the rain, having that last dash towards the end of the qualifying session. And Button, well, he was affected. He crashed. He missed one whole session. Sir Frank Williams said we expected more pressure on Button there. De La Rosa equaling his best from Australia. Verstappen, engine change. Wirtz, Pat Simmons, technical director, is in charge of his car, making no difference. Deniz, Herbert confused from the morning until the afternoon. He doesn't know why he didn't go quicker. Problems for him there in Jaguar. And then we've got Alesi, who spun across the pit lane entrance, Zonta, of course, and then we have the Minardis towards the back, Genet, Salo, lackluster, and there's Mazzacane. And poor Nick Heidfeld, unfortunately not able to race in his home Grand Prix, disqualified for being underweight. Man who's come through McLaren and Mercedes school with Norbert and his boys. A great shame for him. 3 German drivers instead of 4 in this race.
That's tough for Heidfeld, isn't it, Norbert? But all of a sudden there are loads of German drivers in Formula One.
Yeah, well, I think that has something to do with the first of all Formula 3 series in Germany, which is very strong. It was created when we used to have the DTM. There was a lot of focus on it. And that's what we're going to have in the future again, DTM, in together with Formula 3. We will have 33 cars, by the way, in this season. So we're going to have a strong series there. And the young guys, they just performed very well. Then, as you all know, they went in the junior school in Mercedes-Benz,
sure.
Like Michael and Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Nick did. For Nick, this was, again, a character-building weekend, I would say. I mean, he did an outstanding performance. It was very long time, 6th, 7th, and then at the end I think he was 11th or 12th.
That's right,
or whatever.
like that, when he's...
And then, well, got disqualified because of underweight, and I think it was just a kilo or so. Yeah. And this is really tough. But I think if you learn at the beginning of your career that things like that can happen, it makes you even stronger. And I think Nick is a guy who can cope with it.
OK, Norbert, thank you very much. And Tony, we're following Barcelona here. We always go to Barcelona and fear the worst a bit, don't we? But we had all sorts of incidents, particularly this stuff in the pits.
It was a tremendous race. Michael Schumacher leading at this point, coming into the first pit stop. Now, Nigel Stepney there, the refueler and chief mechanic, he took over that job in '95 after a big pit stop went wrong for Berger. This went wrong. The lollipop man came up too quickly. 2 levers. The second man, Andrea Vicari, went in behind to pull the second lever. The lollipop man went as he immediately went to pull off the hose. He'd gone too soon. So Stepney had broken his ankle, but the equipment had been damaged when it was wrenched off. So Vicari takes over, second pit stop. He's still in the lead at this point, quite critical, can't get the hose square on, loses about 10, 12 seconds, and of course loses the race in this particular incident. At the same time, could it damage, could fuel leak? We say it shouldn't. Okay, Michael Schumacher, he's got a slow puncture from a damaged bead on the rim, but look at this, the two Schumachers together, very angry at the time afterwards, Ralph. He said it made no sense what he was doing, actually touching side pods, letting Barrichello go through there. So exciting, not true. Look at from Barrichello's view, as the two brothers are squabbling, and of course afterwards there was a contretemps, but now there's nothing in it. Now this is a tactical block from Michael Schumacher. When he was defending that second place, David Coulthard brilliantly shadowed him, 180 miles per hour, goes around the outside for a second time. He did it Barrichello. Now this is the ever-improving McLaren Mercedes, now winning the second 1-2 on the trot. 14 points they have reduced that gap to. Tremendous performance. Hackney very pleased with it, and he said this could be the turning point, and let's hope it was. It's a very exciting championship we've got on our hands now.
Absolutely, thank you, Tony. Once again, then we've seen the importance of that pit crew and just how dangerous the job can be, particularly when the pressure is on. Watch carefully now with James Allen.
Formula One drivers are used to pressure, but more and more the pit crews are finding that they decide the result of a race. For the mechanics, a pit stop is exciting, difficult, and very, very risky.
It takes just 3 or 4 seconds to change the wheels. The really time-consuming bit is putting the fuel in, whether it be a 6-second splash and dash or 11 seconds width, which is enough for half the race. Now, the man who controls the pit stop is the lollipop man. He has to look out, make sure all the wheels are back on the car, and most importantly, the refueler is off before he's happy to let the car go.
Sometimes it all goes horribly wrong, as in Spain 2 weeks ago.
Schumacher in, leading the race. This pit stop is going to be absolutely crucial. In goes the hose, down goes the lollipop. New wheels and tyres on. Lollipop off, and the hose was still in.
The lollipop man thinks he sees the refueler pull off. He releases Schumacher. Too late, he realises his mistake, and the refueler breaks his ankle. So let's take you down to the pit lane and show you why it's such a risky business.
As you can see, there are two of us doing this because it's so heavy, about 30 or 40 kilos when there's fuel in it. Put it on, I've not even got it lined up when it's stationary. Push down the black handle, there's a flow meter here, number of seconds going in of fuel. When you're happy, enough fuel in, you pull this handle back, get hold of this one and pull it away. Easy enough when it's stationary, but much more difficult when it's moving.
And more difficult still when you're wearing cumbersome fireproof gear, helmets and breathing apparatus.
This helmet on, it's much more difficult to see what you're doing. The car comes in, I've got my mark, I put this thing up, it's on now, the fuel is flowing, 3, 4, 5 seconds and eternity passing away, but pull back, pull away and he goes.
Ferrari's accident has been a wake-up call for all of the teams in the pit lane.
You do get complacent with pit stops when they come and go, and it takes something like that, and everyone's watched it a couple of times on the television, it takes something like that to actually re-emphasise how dangerous this whole thing is.
Even when you're practicing, standing in front of a car travelling at 50 miles an hour is not for the faint-hearted. It's all about routine and practice, and when that routine is broken, you have to replace the number 1 refueler. As Ferrari did, the pressure is really on.
Oh, your heart has to go out to Andrea Vicari, the new standing fuel man. If he makes a mistake of this, he'll lose the race, and he has
not in, he's made a mistake.
The hose is not properly yet. Hakkinen goes, he leads the motor race, and Vicari's blown it for Ferrari. What a tragedy for him.
Vicari has gone back to his old job, and Pietro Timpini will do the refuelling. He's been practicing all week, but how will he do this afternoon when the pressure is really on?
I mean, if we had a weakness, it's that we hadn't practiced enough before we had the problem with Barcelona. We have a backup crew for everything, but we'd been probably a little bit stretched at the beginning of the season, and we hadn't done enough practice, so we exposed ourselves when Nigel was hurt.
Whoever does the job is going to be under a lot more pressure than he appreciates. It is singularly the most difficult task in the pit stop.
Yeah, half a second in the pits is the race. So there is a lot of pressure on the guys to perform, as much pressure perhaps as a driver. So, and of course you've got 15 or 20 guys involved in the whole process, and one slight misjudgment by any of them can cost you the race.
Last year at this race, Ferrari had a bit of a miscount.
Well, this is ludicrous. This is
now they're going to have a committee meeting about it. Stick it on and send him out.
While at Silverstone last year, a troublesome wheel nut lost Häkkinen a certain win and 10 points. But with overtaking on the track so difficult now, places are often changing in the pit lane. The best feeling of all for a pit crew is when your handiwork means that your man nicks a place off his rival.
Who's going to get away first? The Ferrari should be easily away first, and it is. Oh, that is so close. Well done. Amazing stop there from the McLaren boys.
Watch out for more of the same here this afternoon.
And our thanks to BAR for all their help in making that feature. Are the teams, the pit crews, a little bit more apprehensive, a bit more worried now after what happened in Barcelona?
Well, you certainly have to know that it is dangerous, and you know, this is everything has to work together in the right, precise moment. Otherwise, it's dangerous. But our guys practice a lot, but you never know. I mean, there is a certain risk, definitely, but we just hope that we can handle it. And I think our guys did a great job this year. And the last exam was fantastic. I think that's how it should be.
Okay, thanks, Norbert. You've heard the cars out half an hour ago to the start of the European Grand Prix. Let's just sample a lap, shall we, of the Nürburgring in Western Germany. We are around about 50 miles or so from Cologne, 3 miles each lap. That first corner so tricky. Remember Deniz flipping over last year. Here's Martin Brundle. It's Rubens Barrichello at the wheel of the Ferrari.
Okay, on the edge of your seat, you're on board a Ferrari with Rubens Barrichello. It's a little bit slippery out there. It has been raining. It's got to be tentative, up to 185 miles an hour. Down to the first and second corners, the Castrol S. Brake down to 85 miles an hour. Let the car run wide and lean on the curb on the exit for accelerating up to 170 for turn 3. Turn in early and try to keep as left as you can. Immediately it's into the Ford curve 4, just 70 miles an hour. Rubens running a little bit wide on the slippery track and cascading down the hill up to 175 miles an hour for the Dunlop curve. It's a hairpin. Turn 5, quite a lot of grip under braking, a little bit of banking too to help you in, but you have to be patient on the throttle. Uphill now to turn 6 and 7, normally 150 miles an hour, absolutely full throttle, but Barrichello has to just blend out the throttle. It's too slippery to go maximum and build up speed to 180 miles an hour for the RTL curve. Lose 100 miles an hour and let the car sweep through, running up high, but bring it left immediately for the second part, the bit curve. 100 miles an hour through the exit. Now, once again, as you can see, you're sweeping downhill up to 175 miles an hour through this easy right-hander, though it can be tricky in the wet. Now you're looking for the Vidal S, 185 miles an hour. Choose a braking point and come down to just 60 miles an hour. Clump the curb on the left. Try to keep the car straight. Get hard on the power. A short straight into Coca-Cola. Turn 13. The last corner of the lap, but you've got plenty of space on the exit, past the hotel, over the grid hatchings. There's the start-finish line. Barrichello on his way.
Thanks, Martin. Okay then, Norbert, you know this place very well indeed. We can't work it out. We don't know what the heck's going on with the weather here. What do you think is going to happen this afternoon?
Well, I think nobody knows. You know, you can know these places as long as you like. You cannot predict the weather at the Nürburgring. In a moment it's dry, but I'm sure there are going to be some surprises this afternoon. And even if you are born here, you know, the Eiffel keeps surprising you, definitely.
Yeah. We've had a forecast. It says storms and high winds. How do you react to that?
It's normal. Yeah. No, but wait and see. I mean, it depends. You need a little bit of luck. You need to be at the right place at the right time. And I think we are quite strong. And I have to say, McLaren.
You're on a roll at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, they are, absolutely. And they're doing a great job. You know, everybody thought we are under pressure, but this is a great team. And no matter what happens today, we're going to be strong during the course of the season. I do not know whether we can be world champion again, but we certainly are going for it, and well, we are quite relaxed on it.
Thanks very much indeed for joining us today, Norbert. Okay. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay then, well there it is. Bit of rain for you, Norbert, before you go away. You can see it is all around here at the Nürburgring, and it rained about 3/4 of an hour ago pretty hard, and it looks as though we are into more of the same. Well, just looking back at last year's European Grand Prix, the form book was thrown right out of the window. The weather has always played a part. A British winner emerged from 14th on the grid.
Yes, nice one, Frenson.
Oh, somebody's over. He's a lucky bunny.
Umbrellas up. Here comes the rain.
There's no tyre here.
I've never seen anything like it.
Frenson stops on turn 3 and Eddie Jordan is gutted.
Oh no, Coulthard off the road.
David Coulthard has gone off. Wow, my God, this is unbelievable. And off goes Schumacher.
He's got a puncture, right rear puncture.
Johnny Herbert leads the European Grand Prix. This is Manoa out of the race.
Fourth place, of course, he's just lost. So 3 World Championship points and what would have been a stunning fourth place in a Minardi.
Johnny Herbert in the Stewart turns into corner 13 and takes the checkered flag to win. Oh, words fail me.
Well, for Stewart, Reed Jaguar, and the big cat has whimpered so far in Formula One. We'll be asking why. There's a revealing interview as well with the 97 world champion, Jacques Villeneuve. The umbrellas are up at the overcast Nürburgring in western Germany, building towards the 10th European Grand Prix. Britain's David Coulthard on pole for the first time in a couple of years. Nick Heidfeld, the young German, should have started his home Grand Prix in 13th place. His Prostho's been excluded for running underweight. In the 5th, the Martin Brundle's Inside Track Series, Martin has weighty matters on his mind.
This week we're talking about weight. Now, Article 4 of the regulation says the total car must weigh more than 600 kilograms, so that's easy then. Actually, in true Formula One style, it's not at all easy, because that weight must include the drivers. Of course, when the car comes in for qualifying, the driver is sitting in the car and it's easy to weigh. But after the race, for example, the driver is long gone. So the FIA must know the weight of all the drivers, and the teams must check, especially for qualifying, where they're very, very close to the limit, the weight of their driver each day. The minimum weight limit was originally to make sure the cars were sturdy enough, but that's now been superseded by crash tests to make sure that the driver is safe. So now it's an equalisation process. The lighter drivers are 60 kilos, the heaviest are 85, and those heavier drivers would be penalised by up to a second per lap. But the teams are smart. They now build the cars up to 80 kilos underweight and then use ballast, moving it around the car, lowering the centre of gravity and tuning it. You'd be amazed what a difference just 5 kilos moved from the front to the rear makes to the handling. But Article 4.2 says that this lead must be sealable by the FIA for later checking and must need tools to remove it. It must be solidly fixed. Can you imagine something like this flying around in a big accident? But there's a twist. 4.3 says you can't add anything during the race with the exception of fuel, nitrogen and compressed air. But I'll let you into a little secret. The drivers are also told on the in-lap, the slowing down lap after the race, to go offline and pick up all the debris, discarded rubber that they can on the tyres. That can add over 1 kilo to the weight and could prevent you from being thrown out of the race. Weight is king in Formula One.
Thanks, Martin. Eddie Irvine, 8th on the grid as Jaguar search for their first point. As Stewarts, they had their finest hour here last time round. Louise Goodman reporting.
It was the crowning moment in Stewart's brief history. The team scored not just a maiden victory, but almost 40% of its 99 points tally at the Nürburgring. 8 months later, it's a different story. Stewart's out, Jaguar's in, and the scoreboard's reading 0.
We had bonuses last year, and we have to look at them as bonuses and not reality. We had a quick little car, it was okay, and at the end of the season Johnny and Rubens were both up there with it. But it's a whole package. You know, generally I don't believe we've done as good a job as a team as the other people have done as a team, even though we still have moved forward a bit.
I think we were lucky that we had a good car, but everybody obviously has caught up and actually probably done a bigger jump than we have. I think we have a better car than we had last year, but I think other people have better cars, a lot better cars than they had last year. And of course, as you can see from the grids, it's so close, and 2 tenths can make a big difference on the grid.
Jackie's resignation created a void at the helm, and it suggested that the team suffered a lack of direction in the changeover from Stewart to Jaguar.
It wasn't really a lack of direction so much. It was just really a lack through the winter of really knowing what we were doing. You know, there was times you felt you were actually going, just a racing team going racing, and you couldn't quite get your hands on why you were doing it. You know, there was a company owned you that you never saw, and it made it quite difficult just to get decisions made. That was the basic thing.
I think everything's been done that could be done at the minute, but it's not enough, and all our guys know it's not enough, but they can't do any more. It's a very small team, very limited resources, very small infrastructure, you know. This team is a long way from being where it needs to be. They know that, and that's what we're, you know, all the processes are happening at the minute, but it's going to take time.
The man charged with turning things round is Neil Ressler. He's a new face in F1, but comes highly recommended. He was Ford's chief technical officer.
To compete against the big teams, I think you need someone's vision like Neil's who can look at the future and see what needs to be changed to make it a big concern, to make it a more competitive package.
He's not used to the dog-eat-dog world of Formula One, I think, but he'll learn that quick enough because he's not stupid. I honestly, so far, I've been very impressed with him, and just because you put him in the top dog seat doesn't mean to say everything's going to change tomorrow, but he's taking things on board and things are going to change, but it's going to take time. I would say in 6 years, 7 years' time, there's going to be no team better than this team.
Eddie Irvine needing a good start to score today. Well, over the past couple of race weekends, we've seen a fascinating interview with Michael Schumacher. Now another former world champion pulls no punches with Martin Brundle. Yeah, it's Jacques Villeneuve, winner here in '96, world champion a year later, but now struggling to push his BIR to the front.
Jacques, thanks for talking to us.
It's a pleasure.
So let's cut straight to the chase. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, but are you a teeny weeny bit disappointed in your move to BAR?
I'm disappointed with the results. I have no regrets. I've learned a lot. It's been a great experience. It's been a hard experience, but I think I've improved as a driver, so it's going to be useful in the future. So no, I've no bad feelings. Of course, there were some promises that were made before I joined the team that weren't kept because, well, results or the car was supposed to be a lot more performant than it was last year, but the starting point was a lot lower than it was supposed to be. So that's the annoying bit. But at least it's been improving. People have been working hard, and it's started to pay off.
I know what it's like as a driver. You need a crystal ball. You're looking at a team. You're trying to work out how competitive it will be in months' time, or even a few years' time. What criteria do you look for?
You want to believe that you can win. You want to believe that, first of all, that the team is behind you, and that your life within the team will be easy. That's very important. Then, of course, there's all the media aspect, how much work you'll have to do for the team outside of the car, and how much you'll get paid, I guess. That's all part of everything you look at. It's fine you have to decide you want to be driving and winning every race and drive for free, or do something in between, or the best thing is to be in the best team and be paid the most. But I guess that's Michael got that when he went to Ferrari, but it took them a long time to get there. And now they have a winning car, so it's the same thing we want to do here, you know, take time to build it.
But rumour has it you are a fundamental part of this team. You have a different relationship with this team than a driver normally has.
Well, I'm very close to Craig, of course, so that has an effect. And the other thing is the team was started from scratch on a blank sheet of paper, so in a way built around me. So that's got some kind of big involvement, and that was also very important to my decision in coming here.
What about the future? How and when will you decide, and can you really walk away from a Works Honda deal?
The Honda element in the team is very important, and that would make it more difficult to leave the team, definitely, to have worked with them only for 1 year without having seen yet all the good things they can do. So it would be very, very, very difficult, but at the same time you have to look at what's best for you. And if it doesn't look like the team is going to produce soon, then it would be important to look elsewhere. Then it also depends, maybe the team doesn't want to keep me that much either, who knows, maybe they don't want to keep me enough.
Do you think you'll be wearing this team gear next year?
No idea, I don't know if I'm going to be here, and I don't know if they're going to keep the same colours.
Nice one.
Tough to get the truth behind that beard, isn't it, Tony? Where do you think he'll be driving next year?
Well, if I had to put my money on it now, I'd say he wouldn't be there, because after 2 years of mixed results, poor results, he says that's unacceptable. He's dying to get back. He wants to win the World Championship again. He's been talking about beating Michael Schumacher. There's lots of hope at BAR with Honda and the chassis, but can he wait that long? I'm not sure. Renault's on the horizon, and I think the McLaren door is closing, so who knows?
Well, always expect the unexpected at this place. Can David Coulthard become the first pole sitter to win for 10 races? How about Michael Schumacher? Is he going to deliver for his massive Schumi army? Don't discount brother Ralph, he's due a win. Can Hakkinen continue that McLaren surge? Will there be another ring upset with last year's winner Herbert, or even Jenson Button? All will be revealed.